So whether you're a student just starting out, a seasoned pro on the job site, or honestly just curious about how our world gets built, you are in the right place. Today we are going to break down some of the foundational rules that are absolutely essential in construction. Let's get right into it. To make this super easy to follow, we've organized everything into 4 key areas. First, we'll talk about the building blocks themselves, the materials. Then we'll get into the dimensions that actually shape our structures. After that, we'll cover the steel that gives them strength. And finally, we wrap up with the critical best practice you see on every single site. Alright, let's kick things off with a number, 50 kg. What do you think this represents? I'll give you a hint. It is the absolute backbone of pretty much every major construction project out there. Any ideas? Well, if you guessed a bag of cement, you are spot on. And that brings us right into our first section, material fundamentals. These are the non-negotiable must-know properties of the core materials that get used every single day. First things first, the standard weight of one bag of cement is 50 kg, and its density is 1440 kg per cubic meter. You've got to know these two numbers by heart. Seriously, they're essential for everything from just ordering materials to getting your concrete mix absolutely perfect. They're basically constants in the world of construction. Okay, now let's talk bricks. 2 simple rules. Rule 1. For any planning, you need to know that it takes about 550 bricks to fill up 1 cubic meter of space. Rule 2 is all about quality. Every single brick has to be able to withstand at least 75 newtons per square millimeter of pressure. That's what ensures our walls are actually strong and not just for show. You're going to hear the term 1A grade concrete thrown around all the time, especially when people are talking about floor slabs. But what does it even mean? Well, think of it like a standardized recipe for really good, reliable concrete. The M just stands for mix, and that 20 that refers to its compressive strength after 28 days. And here is that recipe I was talking about. This is what makes it 1-ious. It's a simple ratio. For every 1 part of cement, you're going to add 1 and 1 by 2 parts of sand and 3 parts of aggregate, which is really just a fancy word for crushed stone. It's this exact 1 times 2, 3 ratio that gives 1 time concrete that strength you can trust. Alright, so we've got our materials covered. Now, let's talk about the critical measurements that tell us how to use them. This section is all about the key dimensions that make our buildings not just strong, but safe and actually functional. 2 numbers here you absolutely cannot forget. First, a concrete slab should never ever be less than 125 millimeters thick. Anything thinner than that, and you're really compromising its strength. Second, the damp-proof course, or DPC, that's the little barrier that stops moisture from creeping up from the ground. It has to be at least 2.5 cm or 1 in thick. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. You ever walk up a flight of stairs and it just feels wrong, like way too steep and kind of dangerous? Well, that feeling is all about geometry. The ideal slope or angle for a set of stairs is somewhere between 25 and 40 gu. That's the sweet spot that perfectly balances safety with saving space. And that angle is really determined by 2 simple parts. You've got the riser, which is the vertical height of each step. That should be between 150 and 200 millimeter. Then you have the tread, which is where your foot actually lands. That needs to be between 250 and 300 millimeter. You stay within those ranges and you get that comfortable natural rhythm when you're walking up or down. So, here's the thing about concrete. It's fantastic at handling compression, being squished, but it's terrible under tension when you try to pull it apart. And that is where steel comes in. In this section, we're looking at the rules for steel reinforcement, which is like the hidden skeleton that gives concrete its incredible strength. A really critical concept here is something called development length. See, it's not enough to just stick a steel bar in concrete. You have to extend it a very specific distance past the point of stress. This length, which often has a hook on the end, is what allows the steel to properly grip the concrete so it doesn't slip. It makes them work together as one single solid unit. If you ever look at a construction drawing, you're going to see notes like CC6 or something similar. All that means is center-to-center distance. It's just the standard way of defining the spacing between the steel bars, making sure that reinforcement grid is perfectly consistent and strong all the way through. Okay, time for a little bit of essential math. How do you figure out the weight of a steel bar without having a giant scale on site? You use this incredibly simple formula. Take the diameter of the bar in millim, square it, and then divide that by 1 times 2, and boom, that's the bar's weight in kilogram per meter. This gets used every single day for ordering and cost estimation. Let's make that real for a second. Say you have a standard 12 mm rebar. You'd calculate 12 multiplied by 12, which is 14.46. Then you divide that by 1 times 2, 2. That gives you 8 teet. So what does that mean? Every single meter of this rebar weighs 88 kilod. Super simple, right? So lapping is just a simple way of saying you're overlapping 2 steel bars to make a longer piece. It works great for most standard bars, but there is a hard and fast limit. For any rebar that's thicker than 3/6 mm in diameter, lapping is a big no-no. The connection just isn't reliable enough at that size, so you have to use what are called mechanical couplers to join them instead. Okay, we've covered materials, we've covered dimensions, and we've covered steel. For our final section, let's head out to the construction site itself. We're going to look at one crucial practice that can literally make or break the quality of your concrete. And here's our last number for today, 1.5 mesh now. Imagine you're pouring fresh, wet concrete into a form for a column or a wall. What do you think this number represents? It is the maximum height you should ever let concrete free fall. Here's why this matters so much. If you drop it from too high, the heavy stuff, the aggregate, separates from the lighter cement paste. This is called segregation, and it creates these hidden weak spots that can compromise the entire structure. So keeping that drop under 1.5 min is absolutely non-negotiable for quality work. So let's do a super quick recap. First, we went over the fundamental properties of your core materials like cement and brick. Second, we reviewed those critical dimensions for things like slabs and stairs. Third, we dove into the rules for steel reinforcement, the hidden skeleton. And finally, we highlighted that crucial on-site practice for pouring concrete properly. So, we've laid out all the rules as they're written on paper, but we all know the real world can be a very different story. So, I want to lead you with a question. From what you've seen or experienced, which one of these fundamental rules do you think is the one that gets overlooked the most often on a real live construction site? Let us know what you think. Thanks for joining me.